Radio Network. Here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today the Padres take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Pirates, right-hander Paul Skeens, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Hi again, everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, as always, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with new Padres outfielder Dustin Harris, who will make his second straight start for the Padres since getting called up from AAA El Paso. Yesterday, we hear from Pirate manager Don Kelly and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 71-61. They have still won 21 of their last 29 games going back to July 24th. Today, the Padres looking to avoid losing 2 consecutive games for the first time in more than a month. They begin the day sitting in the National League's final wild card spot, 2 games up on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Meanwhile, the Pirates come in 64-69. The Pirates have not played well lately, despite their win last night. They were tied with Arizona for the final NL wildcard spot, entering play less than a month ago on July 28th, and they begin today 7.5 games behind the Padres in the wildcard standing. So really feels like sort of a last gasp for the Pirates if they want to keep their wildcard dreams alive. Certainly a good showing against the Padres. The rest of this series would go a long way for them. We had the series opener here at Petco Park last night. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Left-hander Robbie Ray and Pirate starter Braxton Ashcraft were matching zeros early on. We had a scoreless game going to the top of the 6th inning. Esmerlin Valdez, the reigning National League Rookie of the Month, led off for Pittsburgh.
And Valdez swings, hits it in the air deep to left center field. There's some trouble. This one is gone, a home run. Just into the bullpen in left center field. And Valdez with his 15th home run of the year. A lead shot in the 6th inning. And that is the very first run of this game, 1-0.
Ray would walk the next batter, get the first out of the inning. He then gave way to Bradley Rodriguez. Rafael Flores Jr. was the first batter that Rodriguez faced.
1-2 is in the air to center field and deep. It's tailing away from Merrill. On his horse, he dives, can't make the catch. Kicks up against the base of the wall. He sends it in. Rounding third, Reynolds on his way. Bogarts loses the handle on a potential relay. And Flores standing at second with an RBI double. It's 2-0.
Padres trail 2-1 going to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Right-hander Luke Weaver came on for the Pirates. The newest Padre, Dustin Harris, reached on a 1-out double with 2 outs and Harris on third base representing the tying run. Jake Cronenworth dug in.
Into the windup, the 8th pitch of the at-bat. And a line drive, base hit into center field. Harris will score, and Jake Cronenworth has tied the game. 2-2 here in the 8th.
We would go to extra innings all the way to the 12th inning. Jeremiah Estrada came on for the top half of the inning. Nick Gonzalez led off for Pittsburgh with the automatic runner on second base.
Here's the 3-2. That's grounded up the middle into center field and a base hit. Triolo rounding third on his way. Merrill's throw to the plate is not in time. And for the first time tonight, the Pirates a hit with a runner in scoring position, and they go ahead 3-2 in the 12th.
Estrada got out of the rest of the inning without allowing another run. Right-hander Johan Ramirez held the Padres scoreless in the bottom half of the 12th. The final score yesterday, Pirates 3 and the Padres 2 in 12 innings. A game that took 4 hours and 10 minutes. Padres went 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Pirates went 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position, and that's the way it went last night. Pirates winning the series opener, and now we see if the Padres can bounce back in game 2 of this 3-game set. As we get ready for first pitch at 6:40, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
All right, Jesse, let's start with one of the headlines of tonight's game. Paul Skeens, the reigning National League Cy Young Award winner, making his first ever start at Petco Park. Padres saw him earlier this season for the first time ever in Pittsburgh. Skeens was very good against the Padres, but Jesse, it's interesting. Since then, it has been a very different kind of Paul Skeens than what we're accustomed to seeing. The last really 2.5 months, it has been very up and down in a way that I think is kind of confusing a lot of people around baseball. The first real stumble of Paul Skeens' career.
Yeah, it's one of these things, you can kind of slice it and dice it any number of ways, right? And I think let's start here. At the end of the day, he's got a 3.95 ERA. So let's just start there. That's still a really good number. If you compare it to himself, certainly it's not what you would expect. He has still also struck out about as many guys as anybody in the National League. So, he's not a schlub. Okay, he's still a really good pitcher. But compared to what we've seen, at the beginning of this year and the last couple of years, you're right. He's not up to his own standards. But I do like to set expectations and say the guy still knows how to throw a baseball. But there's no doubt that he's not at his peak right now. And, it's a really interesting thing to dive into. I'm excited to work with Scans tonight and kind of let Bob break down some of the mechanical stuff that's going on with Skeens because, talking to a bunch of people the last couple of days, it is a mechanical thing, it would seem, with Paul Skeens. And, that's got to be such a vexing thing for a pitcher, right? Because if Jesse, who's never thrown a pitch in his life, at any sort of professional level, can, look at video and be like, oh, I see exactly what he's doing wrong. Well, surely Paul Skeens knows what he's doing wrong, but that doesn't mean he's able to fix it. And now you're going, as you said, on a couple of months of not being able to throw the ball the way he wants to throw the ball. That's got to be so frustrating. That's got to be, really just driving him absolutely crazy. But he's just not been himself. He's not throwing it quite as hard as he normally does. The fastball command is not there, not hiding the ball as well from the hitters as he used to. And so he's been, punished for that. And so they gave him a little bit of a reset. His last start, which was last Wednesday afternoon against the Tigers, was on extra rest. So the velocity did tick up a little bit from there. They had him on a pitch count. So he only threw 85 pitches in that game. There's a little bit of public uncertainty as to whether he might be on a pitch count again here tonight as he goes, on a little bit more normal-ish rest in this game. So if he comes out maybe earlier than might make sense in this game today, that would be why. But boy, man, one of the real interesting stories of 2026 in the major leagues, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it really is. And you make a good point, Jesse. The feeling seems to be that it is mechanical. We'll hear from Pirate manager Don Kelly on that a little bit later. So it does feel like once he sort of clicks it back in, he'll probably get back to being something like the Paul Skeens we saw last year and the year before. Jesse, I feel like it's a good day to talk about Jake Cronenworth. I know late in the game yesterday didn't get the bunt down, but he had such a good game before that. He's put together so many great at-bats in big spots. The defense has been really good. And, you and I a lot during these pregame conversations, we talk about a lot of the good stories for the Padres over the course of a season. I do feel like Jake is turning into one of them, considering the rough start to his year. Then he deals with the concussion that, really threw him for a loop. And he was out for such a long time with that. The fact that he's come back and contributed both offensively and defensively, I think it's been a big part of why the Padres have done what they've done as of late.
No doubt about it, right? It takes a village, and, Jake is one of the key pieces on this team. That's been true for several years now, and they are at his best when he is able to be in there every single day. He plays a fabulous second base. He really does. And that was on display multiple times in the game last night. That glove flip play was extraordinarily special, and it came at a critical moment in the game. The concussion, for a long while here was sort of threatening to be the story of the year for Jake Cronenworth, and how unfortunate that might have been. But I do think, the way he's been able to play the last couple of months, he's separating himself now from that and, really kind of reestablishing himself as just Jake Cronenworth. And so maybe it won't be the story of the year. The concussion, the time missed, the struggles that he had, sort of right before he went to the injured list, because there really was a long period of time where I thought, man, that might end up being kind of, the story, or at least the sort of sub headline of 2026 for Jake, and how much of a bummer that might have been. But he's playing well enough now where there are definitely, long stretches of time where you even forget that was a part of the story this year. Look, there's big baseball ahead of this team. Obviously, 30 games to go in the regular season, counting tonight, and then hopefully a bunch more, coming up in October. And so whatever Jake puts down in the 30 games in his regular season and beyond, hopefully will end up being what we talk about when it all is said and done this year.
Jesse, good stuff as always. Michael King on the mound for the Padres here today. We'll talk more about him coming up a little bit later. Thanks so much for the time. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up at 6:30. Talk to you later, Jess.
You got it, Sammy. Thanks.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 p.m. All right, when we come back, we'll take a full look at the Padres lineup here today. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up in a little bit. Dustin Harris will join me, new Padres outfielder. Plus, we hear from Don Kelly some thoughts on tonight's starting pitcher for the Pirates, Paul Skeens. And again, Padres have a very good right-hander going tonight as well in Michael King. First pitch coming up in just a little bit on what is a gorgeous night here in downtown San Diego. Game 2 of this 3-game series coming your way as we continue our pregame coverage after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40, game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates. We've got a very good pitching matchup here tonight. Michael King on the mound for San Diego and Paul Skeens on the mound for Pittsburgh, the reigning National League Cy Young Award winner. Taking a look at the Padres lineup, here today looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Ty France at first base batting cleanup. Jackson Merrill in center batting fifth. Luis Rengifo doing the DHing duties today, batting sixth. Luis Campusano behind the plate batting seventh. Sander Bogarts at shortstop batting eighth. And Dustin Harris, the newest San Diego Padre, in left field and batting ninth. Harris making his second consecutive start in left field. As we get ready for today's game, let's go downstairs, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Even in last night's loss, Jake was able to impact the game in a number of ways by tying up the game and then preventing some runs later on with some of his defensive plays there. What stood out to you about his performance last night?
Yeah, great game by him. All facets of the game, especially the defensive plays, stuck out to me. They were in big spots where we needed to get those guys out to keep us where we were, and he was able to make those plays.
When you zoom out a little bit, he's on a 13-game on-base streak. What has stood out to you about his play just as a whole when you look back on these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, he's just been playing baseball the way we know Jake can play, and he's kind of moved on from the early season struggles and the concussion and all that, and he's back to the player that we know and love here in San Diego.
Today you have Michael King going. Tomorrow it says TBD, but are you able to reveal who your starter might be tomorrow, considering we won't talk to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's Randy's turn in the rotation. Obviously we may start the game with somebody else, but Randy will most likely pitch in that game tomorrow.
What has he done to earn his spot back in that area? You've had the pitching chaos situation going on, and I know that you talked after the last game that he started just about the competitiveness. Obviously, he's coming off of that 7-inning game that he was able to pitch for you guys. But what have you seen from him just in terms of that competitiveness and that drive to get back into the rotation?
Yeah, I think, one, he wants to start the games, and he's trying to prove it to us every time he goes out on the mound. That's a good spot for an athlete to be. Our job as coaches try to motivate the players as best they can. He's self-motivated, which makes it very easy. And I think we're just trying to be strategic with his spot in the rotation, knowing that he can fill any number of roles within the game, and not necessarily always have to start the game. But if we want him to start the game, could start the game. But if we want him to come in the middle of the game, he's doing great coming in the middle of the game also.
Craig, I know you touched on Manny's finger last night, but is there concern that that's something that could linger or not get better over the course of time for him?
Yeah, I mean, there's always all those little nicks and knacks, injuries, types things that the players are fighting through, or things that just kind of last, longer than they should always when you play a game that you got to play every day. But Manny's a pretty tough cookie, likes to play through injury. Judging by how he was feeling today, he's doing just fine, and I'm sure he'll have a few more times where he hits it off the end of the bat. Doesn't feel great, but I think he'll be fine.
Last night you had to lean pretty heavily on Morhone and Miller in the bullpen as a whole in what was a tie game for a while there yesterday. How do you balance this time of year in a tie game, having to use those guys to that degree, while also, I suppose, also acknowledging how important those guys and keeping them fresh are for the big picture of what this team has to do?
Yeah, I think, 2 days ago we were talking about how fresh the bullpen is, and now today we're talking about how, worn out they are. It's funny how things change and it quickly within the game of baseball. The fortunate thing for us is we have off days about once a week here coming up. That's going to at least give them that 1 day off. But we're also, right in the thick of the playoff hunt, so we've got to be able to win games. And I think when we get in games where we can, have the chance to win, we're going to use those guys, and they know that, and they want to pitch in those games also. And hopefully we get some other games where we get out the big leads and we can use the other guys.
Paul Skeens on the mound for Pittsburgh today, reigning Cy Young Award winner. I know it's been more up and down this year for him, but your thoughts on facing a guy of that caliber here tonight? Yeah,
we faced him early in the year, get to face him a second time. He's a great pitcher. He's been, really good since he's gotten to the big leagues. But it's a great challenge. It's a challenge that I think all of our hitters love when we get to face guys like that, just like the guy last night. You want to face the best. You want to see if you can measure yourself against the best and then beat the best. And that's what we're going to have to do when we get to the place that we want to get to in the playoffs.
Is the Manny injury something that he's dealing with constantly, or is it just like when he takes certain swings?
He feels it when he hits it off the end of the bat.
And just in that scenario, so it's not like maybe inhibiting.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, if you've hit it off the end of the bat. You didn't have batting gloves on. You feel the rattle in your hands, and, it just kind of doesn't feel good. And he's got it probably over the course of his entire career, a place on his finger that has been battered and beaten up a little bit, and it's just kind of a little bit more boogered up right now.
Has there been much conversation about whether he would benefit from a day or two off?
Not really, no. We'll eventually talk about that, one-on-one, but it hasn't got to that point yet.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
WFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Freddy Fermin from the San Diego Padres. You are listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
First pitch coming your way at 6:40 p.m. here at Petco Park. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. We'll put Jay Cronenworth in there today. 2 hits last night. He's batting .288 with a .351 on-base percentage during a current 13-game on-base streak. The not category, we focus on Xander Bogaerts. 0 for 3. Did have a couple of walks in last night's game, as Xander batting just .189 in his last 12 games, although I should also mention he does have a .354 on-base percentage in that 12-game span. So quick look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for today's game. Padres taking on the Pirates. Let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the news continues to come out of Houston a day after the Astros parted ways with their general manager, Dana Brown. Astros owner Jim Crane addressed the move earlier today. He said that Astro manager Joe Espada will remain in that managerial role for the remainder of the season. Well, the Cardinals had an unfortunate injury. They've put shortstop Mason Wynn on the IL with a broken left thumb. He was injured on a slide into second base against the Reds last week. Had been out of the lineup for the past 4 games, but he did go on the IL earlier today. Well, there was an interesting situation in yesterday's Diamondbacks-Cubs game. The Cubs winning at 7-0 against Arizona last night. In that game, the D-backs seemed to think that Cubs third base coach Quentin Berry was relaying to Cubs runners on second base what Arizona pitcher Merrill Kelly was going to throw. That way the runner at second could relay it to the hitter. There was a lot of shouting going on between Cubs bench coach Ryan Flaherty and Diamondback bench coach Jeff Bannister. Then today, Torey Lovullo, Diamondbacks manager, said he spoke with Major League Baseball today, and apparently he apologized to Cubs manager Craig Counsell because, I guess Torey found out that whatever the Cubs were doing was legal. So there was an apology there, and sounds like everybody's now on the same page. The Padres do play the New York Yankees coming up here in a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting to see if Aaron Judge is active for the Yankees by then. Aaron Judge was doing some hitting in the cage a little bit earlier today. Aaron Boone saying he looks good, and we'll see what the next step is for Aaron Judge as he continues his rehab progression from that fractured rib. He has been out for a while. Going to be interesting to see if Aaron Judge is back by the time the Padres face the Yankees here at Petco Park. And that is a quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have A full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later in our pregame coverage. When we come back, we'll hear from today's starting left fielder. That is Dustin Harris, about to play his second game with the Padres. We'll also hear from Pirates manager Don Kelly, some thoughts on Pirates right-hander Paul Skeens. First pitch coming up at 6:40 at Petco Park. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming your way at 6:40 p.m. Game 2 of this three-game series between the Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. Well, not only did the Padres lose yesterday's game in 12 innings, it was also a 4-hour and 10-minute ball game yesterday. So a very, very long game yesterday, and was the longest game of the season for the Padres. So long night, not a great night for the Padres. We'll see if they can bounce back here today in the middle game of this three-game series. We do have some updates for you on Musgrove, on Pavetta, and on Casey Mize. Let's get to it.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, let's begin with Casey Mize, who suffered that right ankle sprain when he slipped on the dugout steps a handful of days ago during that last start. He's been playing catch. He is scheduled to throw a bullpen tomorrow. So we should have some more information, I would presume, after Mize throws the bullpen tomorrow. As far as Nick Pivetta, well, he is getting ready to start tonight's game in Lake Elsinore. We'll make a rehab start with the Storm here very, very shortly. So that's going to be interesting to see how Pivetta does and comes out of that. Remember, the last time he went to make a formal rehab start, that's when he came out after, just a handful of pitches. So we'll see how it goes today for Nick Pivetta. As far as Joe Musgrove, he will make his 4th rehab start at AAA El Paso on Thursday, and we'll see what the next steps are for Joe following that. And that is the latest on Mize, on Musgrove, and on Nick Pivetta. And during our post-game coverage, we'll update you on Nick Pivetta, how that went for him today at Lake Elsinore. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues on this Tuesday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Well, we have a number of games, a lot of games going on right now. We've got one final, 5 games still yet to begin aside from this one. Let's get to the one final. Tigers beat the Rays 4-1 in Detroit. Max Clark, rookie, hit his second major league home run in that game for Detroit. Red Sox and the Marlins tied at 2 in the 9th inning in Miami. The Red Sox, Mickey Gasper, has 2 home runs in that game. Rockies beating the Nationals 3-1 in the 8th inning in D.C. Astros and the Yankees are tied at 5 in New York in the 7th inning. Cody Bellinger, Luis Garcia Jr. home runs in that game for the Yanks. Yainer Diaz, Jeremy Pena home runs in that game for the Astros. Royals beating the Blue Jays 4-1 in Toronto in the 7th inning. Mets ahead of the Brewers 2-1 in New York in the 7th inning. Francisco Lindor and Luis Robert Jr. home runs in that game for the Mets. Dodgers and the Braves are tied at 3 in the 7th inning in Atlanta. White Sox leading the Rangers 8-1 in Chicago in the 5th inning. Orioles leading the Cardinals 4-1 in St. Louis in the 5th inning. Pete Alonso, his 31st home run of the year in that game for Baltimore. Guardians and the Angels about to get underway in Anaheim. We have a number of other games yet to begin aside from this one. Cubs and the D-backs in Arizona at 6:40. Clay Holmes against Brandon Pfaadt, the pitching matchup there. Twins and the A's at 6:40 in Sacramento. Phillies and the Mariners in Seattle at 6:40. Aaron Nola against George Kirby, the pitching matchup tonight in Seattle. And finally, Reds and the Giants in San Francisco at 6:45. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday across the major leagues. Well, we'll talk more about Paul Skeens here in a second because it's been a very different type of last 2.5 months for Paul Skeens. His velo has been down. The results have not been nearly as good. Pirates manager Don Kelly spoke with reporters inside the Pirates dugout earlier today. Here was Don Kelly, some of his thoughts on Paul Skeens entering this start here against the Padres tonight.
We know that Paul's a diligent worker, how he goes after it to get better. He's always looking to do that. And I think it's been something, especially mentioning the mechanical part of it. And I don't think that right now is he's never going to stop working hard to get better every single day. And I think that saw some trends last outing that, things were trending up and looking for that to continue today. He's had a great week of work and feels good.
With Paul, obviously, it's a team game and there's a lot that has to go into it. But if you guys can get to where you're still hoping to go, how much of that is kind of dependent on Paul getting back to being Paul?
Well, it's not all on Paul. It takes 26 guys, and Paul's going to be a part of that. As he's continued to work through this stretch of working through the mechanical stuff, working through the velo, and I think that it's been really impressive the way that he's been able to navigate it. And we all, I think, as a team, it was encouraging last night coming off of the tough Dodgers series to show up in the way that we did in a big battle. I mean, that was the ebbs and flows of that game. It was unbelievable, and how we were able to compete, and the Padres did as well. And I know that Paul is going to compete every single time he's out there too, and looking for him to be that guy in the mound for us tonight.
That was Pirates manager Don Kelly earlier today inside the Pirates dugout. Let's talk a little bit more about Skeens and what the Padres need to do against him tonight and against the Pirates tonight as we give you a look at our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number one, score against Skeens. Let's do a little Paul Skeens deep dive here. Skeens has completed 6 innings in just 2 of his 10 starts dating back to late June. In that span, he's got a nearly 6 ERA. It is easily the worst 10-game stretch of his career. His four-seam fastball velocity is down at 96.6 miles per hour since the beginning of June. He was up to almost 98 from the start of the 2025 season through May. His in-zone rate on the heater, that's the amount he's throwing that four-seam fastball in the strike zone. It's down to 52.6% this season, but that's 9 percentage points down from last year. So you look at that, you say, is he concerned about challenging hitters over the plate right now? That's kind of what he's been working through. Pirates opted to push Skeens' most recent start back so he could get a little bit of a breather. He pitched on 7 days rest on Wednesday against the Tigers, gave up 3 runs in 4 innings and a third. Now, his velocity was better against the Tigers, 20 fastballs at 97 miles per hour or higher. Skeens did face the Padres for the first time in his career back in April in Pittsburgh. 6 innings and a third, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, and he walked 2. He actually took a no-hitter into that game, into the 6th inning of that game before allowing a single to Fernando Tatis Jr. His only other hit allowed was a solo home run by Xander Bogaerts in the 7th inning. So, key number 1 today, got to find a way against this tough right-hander, Paul Skeens. That is key number 1. Key number 2, can Michael King continue to roll? King has put together 3 consecutive quality starts, the latest of which came last week in New York against the Mets. 6 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. He did a really, really good job. King comes in a 3.38 ERA on the season, 149 innings. So hopefully Michael King can keep it rolling against this Pirates offense here today. Key number 3, be very good against Valdez. Pirates rookie Esmerlin Valdez snapped a 24-game homerless streak with a home run in last night's game. Even with that lengthy home run drought, Valdez is tied for 6th in the majors with 13 home runs in the last couple of months. He is a very, very good, powerful rookie hitter. And key number 4, be great against Gonzalez. I'm talking about Pirates leadoff man Nick Gonzalez, actually batting cleanup tonight. He was batting leadoff in yesterday's game against the lefty. But anyway, Gonzalez, 2 hits last night, including a go-ahead RBI single in the 12th inning. He has 5 multi-hit games in his last 9 contests. Gonzalez leads the majors with 51 multi-hit games this season. He is a really, really good hitter, batting .308 on the year. Got to find a way to limit Nick Gonzalez in the cleanup spot today for the Pirates. And that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, I go one-on-one with today's starting left fielder. That is Dustin Harris, getting ready to make his 2nd ever appearance as a San Diego Padre after making his Padres debut in last night's game. That and more coming your way on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. This is the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming your way at 6:40 as the Padres take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'd like to give a special shout out to Melissa, Monique, and Billy, who have come to say hi here inside the loft. Great to meet you. Hope you enjoy your beers and to have a nice time at the game tonight, all right? Okay. Good to see you, Melissa, Monique, and Billy. Absolutely. Thank you for coming to say hi. All right, Dustin Harris making his second straight start with the Padres in left field, called up from AAA El Paso yesterday after putting up very good numbers at AAA. I caught up with Harris a little bit earlier inside the Padre clubhouse. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for tonight's game. And right now I'm joined by new Padres outfielder Dustin Harris. Well, Dustin, getting ready for your second game with the club here tonight. I know it's probably been a very hectic last day or so for you. How would you describe getting to town and getting accustomed to being on this team?
Yeah, no, it's been a process. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of meeting new people, getting to know new faces, and it's a very welcoming clubhouse staff. So everything's been great so far.
Dustin, when you get to a new club, what's sort of the checklist as you're getting thrown right into these games of things that you got to do before you get on that field?
Yeah, no, just doing whatever I can to mold with the guys here, fit in around here, and just try to soak in everything and do what I can to help these guys, help this club win, make playoffs.
Dustin, as far as your success at AAA since you signed with the Padres, what do you attribute that success specifically offensively to?
I think it's just sticking to a routine, and I'd give a lot of props to the staff down there. They stuck with me and just help speak my language and just understand one another, how we work well, and just it was good down there.
As far as sticking to a routine, is that something that you've had to work on over the course of the last handful of years? Is that something that's always come natural to you as far as kind of having that day-to-day routine?
I think it's something that's definitely learned throughout the years. It's definitely more specific to me now, and just kind of understand how I move and how I work. And I think that's just like I said, over time, you learn things about yourself.
Yeah. Are there any coaches down there in El Paso in particular that stood out to you as far as what they were able to do for you?
The whole staff was great. I mean, we put a lot of work in the cage and just out in the field, and I guess it translated.
Yeah. Dustin, you've been with a number of different organizations this year, had some opportunities in the major leagues with some different organizations. How would you sort of describe the year to this point? I got to imagine you're appreciative of the opportunities, but I would also imagine it's a whirlwind kind of bouncing around the way you have this year.
Yeah, it's been this year's been a roller coaster for sure. It's been a lot of different places traveled, a lot of different homes, but just trying to be present here and just, like I said, make the most of this opportunity and help this club make playoffs.
Even when you're bouncing around like that and you get these opportunities where you can make a big impact at the big league level, what's your key to kind of, I guess, keeping a level head and putting yourself in the best position to have success when you get those opportunities?
I think I can bring this right back to the routine. It's just not getting too high, too low, and just kind of keeping that level head and go about every day like it's a new one, and just go out there and try to win each and every day.
We're joined by new Padres outfielder Dustin Harris. You'll get your second start here tonight, playing at Petco Park. As a Padre, I mean, you've been here for one night, but I will tell you that the environment last night pretty indicative of what it's always like, even on a Monday night in April. The place is packed, feels kind of like a playoff game. What was your initial impression of playing in this building?
Yeah, you hear about it. It's my first time over here in San Diego, and it was unbelievable last night. And like you said, on a Monday night, you can only imagine what it's like, and when more people are free. So I'm excited, and it's great having that kind of support.
Dustin, appreciate the time very much. Best of luck with the Padres here moving forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for here tonight? Ken Fernando Tatis Jr. bounced back, the reigning National League Player of the Week. He had an 0 for 5 last night after going 12 for 25 with 4 home runs last week. He did steal his 30th base of the season last night. He is now 2 off the career high he set last season. So Ken Fernando, get it going once again here tonight after an 0 for yesterday. That's what to watch for in today's game. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Jesse and Bob come your way when we come back. I'll talk to you post-game. Peace out. See you, everybody.